Hi, team. Welcome to 10 Talks. Well, today's conversation is all about gut health and how do we create a lifestyle that's about winning. Our choices, our movement, our sleep, our habits. What is it that really sets us up to be a 10? And we know that from our stat system, a scale of 1 to 10, 1 is not so fabulous and 10 is fabulous. And it's not about being perfect, it's all about really investing in you, figuring out by practice, by doing things, statting it up, what's working for me and what's not working for me. We've had the joy of being on this journey with Dr. Hunter, really learning winning strategies for gut health. And today it's all about putting it all together, creating your rituals and routines that are all about you being a 10, you being able to know what to eat, the movement that you want, how to be a champion for the change that matters for you, and really why creating rituals and routines is the way that sets you up to win. Dr. Hunter, thank you so much for the gift of being on this journey. And we want to understand really the power of rituals and routines to win in our lifestyle.
Yeah, we are definitely creatures of habit. Our brain, how many times have you been in the car and you've got to go to work and you're making a grocery list and then you show up at work, right? I mean, we have this beautiful habit of autopilot, which helps us get through some of our days. But that also means we can live our whole lives on autopilot if we're not being intentional about our habits, about really crafting a lifestyle that supports not only our gut health, but our total body health and well being. And our brains really crave those rituals and routines, that kind of expected schedule. So the more you can set yourself up with winning strategies, right? Start your day with good choices about what you're putting in your body, how you're moving, being intentional as you go throughout your day, having your joy breaks, having your movement breaks, focusing on healthy nutrition throughout the day, and then ending the day with good sleep. That really does. That's the winning, that's living the dream, right? So there are things we can do to really build in steps day to day that make us be more successful when we're creating new habits.
What's interesting is that we're usually pretty good in our rituals and routines when we're working or when we're in an established ritual and routine that's kind of built for us. We have to go to work at a certain time. We've got these, maybe Monday through Friday or whatever's happening from that perspective. I actually want to start with when we're going on holiday or we're re entering. How do we really eat healthy? How do we find healthy foods, make healthy choices when we're out of our ritual and routine? And then, team, I'm going to bring us back to re entry when we come back in, because this combination is really valuable. Whether you call it the weekend that you kind of let go and go on holiday and have a completely different ritual and routine, those are your cheat days, whatever you want to call it, or whether you've been, in a season where maybe you've been training and you've been very intentional and now you're hitting your rest and recovery season. You may be in a new state, a new country. You may be with different people. There's different food choices. How do we really make sure that we're taking care of our gut when we're out of our rituals and routines?
Yeah. And the thing I like to impress upon people when we think about, okay, something's coming up, things are going to be different, is that really the ultimate goal in life is not to be perfect, right? It's to be consistent with our healthy changes and it's to make progress in whatever our goals are. And so I really like giving ourselves the ability to have grace and you know know that if we don't do it exactly how we thought we might one day, we can always come back to it the next. So I think of it as kind of as the 80-20 rule. So if you know you've got vacation coming up, can you make the healthier choice 80% of the time? Even if at that celebration dinner, you're going to have more alcohol than you normally drink or have more desserts or more sugar or more processed foods. That's okay, right? That kind of brings us the beauty and the joy of life, that we can be flexible and we can be kind to ourselves. So some of what you're talking about, Carlette, is kind of identifying obstacles. Like, what do we know might get in the way? And if it's one day, maybe we just don't worry about having a clear strategy. Maybe we allow ourselves to just have that cheat day, have that rest and recovery day. Maybe not plan anything at all, right? We live our lives so structured and so planned, as you said, with work and our other routines and habits. So it's okay to just wing it sometimes. But if you are going to be like, I'm going on a 3-month cruise around the world, right? You're going to want to build in some strategies that are going to support you there. So, one thing I talk to people about when you're out and about, you can always choose an option for a meal that has the most veggies and fruit and whole food that you can find, right? A dinner salad. Um, there's lots of bowls out there now. They're really popular where it's a whole grain, your protein and veggies, right? That's a great choice. Really thinking about if you're at a buffet or something like that, filling up half your plate with that salad or with the vegetable options, and then you get a smaller portion of your protein and a smaller portion of your carbs. Those are ways to really continue to make whole food, plant focused choices that are going to support your gut health, support your total well being. Choosing water versus soda, choosing more water than coffee, choosing more water than alcohol, right? Like these are choices that we can make. And then something you can really plan to stick to is your sleep routine, right? Carve out the time to get those 7 to 9 hours. It can be hard if you're changing time zones and if you're, you know, maybe switching your schedule back and forth, but really plan for how can I prioritize my rest so that you can really enjoy yourself.
Dr. Hunter, is there such thing as too much rest? If we're kind of spending a lazy day, lounging, taking some naps, sleeping, is there too much sleep, or is if our body's willing to sleep, is that an okay thing to really honor?
So sometimes you're in a sleep debt, right? If you've been really burning the candle at both ends, if you're getting less than 6 hours of sleep a night, we really think of that as very short duration sleep. So you can kind of make up for that. The thing I caution about napping is if you're napping for 2 to 3 hours, you're really cutting into your nighttime sleep, right? So if you're going to take a nap, there's really nothing wrong with that, but I'd limit it to 20 or 30 minutes, right? Just that little snippet to kind of recharge. And if you're finding like, gosh, I could really have slept for 2 hours, that's a sign to get into bed earlier tonight, right? Like honor the fact that your body needs rest. But just kind of laying around all day. I mean, sure, if you're recovering from a really intense event, right? If you've been ill, certainly tune into your body signs that you need to rest. But it's just kind of like, oh, it's Saturday and I want to watch Netflix for 8 hours. We don't want to get into that habit every weekend. Um, we know that being sedentary, whether it's sitting in front of a TV or sitting in front of your desk at work, has negative impacts on our health. And, most jobs, I think it's 80% of jobs require no physical activity these days. And we sit for, 8 to 10 hours during a workday, and we do even more on the weekends, right? Because we've worked so hard and we think we deserve it. So I would keep working in like, how do I get those little movement breaks throughout my weekend, even if I kind of don't want to have a lot of structure or don't want to do a lot of physical activity. Sure, watch that documentary you've been meaning to catch up on, but don't binge 12 seasons, right? Like maybe give it that 90-minute limit, right? We know you're probably not paying very much attention after that. Get up, walk around the house, take a break, maybe do some household chores, just get some movement and then sure, come back to it if you're really feeling tired. When you say, is there too much rest? We really think about people who are routinely getting 10 hours or sleep or more a day or a night. That has negative outcomes as well when we look at it in the data. And so part of it may be that you're really not getting good sleep during the time that you're in bed. So sometimes that's a sign like maybe I need to talk to my doctor, maybe I need to get evaluated for sleep apnea or start tracking how much deep sleep I'm getting, things like that. So we know 6 or less hours is harmful. We know 10 or more hours routinely is harmful. So it's really that 7 to 9 hour sweet spot. But listen to your body, right? If you just have a day where you need to rest or a 2 hour nap is really going to help you out, do that. Just try not to make that a habit.
So, from a eating perspective, when we're not able to be at our own homes or cook the food that we want, how do we make those healthy choices when we go out to eat? What are some winning strategies?
Yeah, I always, if you know where you're going
Mhm.
and you can see the menu ahead of time, that gives you some power, right? You're not going to be making a pressured decision. Um, and so you can really kind of pre-plan or pre-game, right? Like make your winning strategies around, okay, I see they have a really nice salad, they've got some soup that looks interesting. I'm going to focus on some healthier items, and oh, there's a dessert that I really like on there. I'm going to share it with a friend, right? So you can kind of go into your meal with a plan. The other winning strategy is don't show up hangry,
Mm.
right? So if you know it's going to be a big meal, maybe you have a lighter lunch, but maybe a snack before you head out the door, just because if you're going with a bunch of people, it's going to take a while to get everybody ordered. The food's going to come later. So really preparing yourself to not overeat when you're out at a restaurant is a good strategy. Maybe it's a shake, maybe it's just making sure you're well hydrated, you've had enough water for the day, an apple, something that's just going to kind of take the edge off for you. Another winning strategy is share a meal with someone, right? We know that restaurant portions are really much larger than we need. Nobody needs a 16-ounce steak, right? 4 ounces is an appropriate serving of protein. So, splitting that with a friend or having it more of a family style meal where everybody's kind of sharing can be a good strategy. If you are going to purchase your own meal and know, like, this plate's going to be really big, I'm going to be tempted to eat more than I want, have them box up half of it for you to take home, right? So we have all of us have learned to clean our plates. So it doesn't matter how big the plate is. Sometimes we eat past that normal, like, how you feeling? Maybe you're not actually hungry anymore cue. So that's one strategy too.
Well, I really value being able to get ourselves set up in these rituals and routines. And even when we get out of them, we have the rubber band theory. We can really kind of bounce back our mind, our body. We are set up with muscle memory, with just emotional memory. We like to be able to know what's coming. It makes our body safe. It helps set us up for peak performance because our body is not using the energy to figure out what am I eating? Where are we going? What am I doing? It's like, this is what I do when I wake up in the morning. This is what I eat. This is who I talk to. This is who I see. There's an ease that shows up whenever we're really in the power of our rituals and routines. So we want to get you set up to really understand what is a ritual and routine, what is the value of it, and how do I do it? So, number one, with your rituals and routines, have a clear desired outcome. Know your goal of why you're really establishing this ritual and routine, and make sure it's an 8, 9, or 10 for you. Make sure that you really value it. It's important to you. It's yours. It's your why. It's something that matters to you. We're not going to stick with things. We're not going to do things that somebody's told us to do or we think we're supposed to do or any of that stuff. Not a winning strategy. So, number one, when you're setting up a new habit or ritual and routine, define your desired outcome. Check it on our stat system on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being not so fabulous. We want everything in that 8, 9, or 10 zone. Then you move into my routine. And this is how am I going to achieve my desired outcome? So I need to have the repetition. I need to have the practice. I need to know I do weights every Tuesday and Thursday or whatever it is. That is the routine of it. And the ritual is how we're going to sustain it. This is going to be what we do over and over and over. Once we practice and find, wow, this is an 8, 9, or 10 for me. I really feel good when I have this breakfast. It feels great when I take a walk in the morning. I really like when I do my stretch training after, a good workout. Whatever it is, find the joy of really designing your 10 life. You really figuring out, wow, this really works for me. Oh my goodness, this does not work for me. Really having that ability to own you and your life and what's important to you. That's what's going to make you a great friend, a great partner, a great teammate, a great person to go to work with. Because when you're feeling good and healthy, you show up ready to contribute in such a good and healthy way. So, Dr. Hunter, when we think about this power of rituals and routines, any winning strategies or ways that we can make these habits something that we really understand why we're doing it and give us that motivation to stick with it?
Yeah, I love what you said, Carlette, about defining your why. That's something that, when I start working with clients, that's on the list of the first questions that I ask them because our brains really want to keep us where we are, right? We were built for survival, and our brain's job is ultimately to keep us safe. And to our brain, safe is how we are right now. So when you're trying to set up a new routine, what is going to happen is resistance. Resistance is going to come up. Your brain is trying to keep you safe and says, well, what about, well, I'm not sure you want to actually do that. That's way different than how we are right now. And so having your why, knowing your motivation, having kind of a response to the resistance is so important because we know it's going to happen, right? So really, I work with a lot of my clients on what's your healthy self-talk mantra, right? What are you telling yourself every day? What is your why? Sometimes it's I'm a healthy person and I make healthy choices, right? That's a great thing to tell your brain when it's like, well, why are we getting up so early? Like because I'm a healthy person, I make healthy choices. I've committed to myself that I'm going to take a 30-minute walk in the morning before I start my day, right? So when you can really start with the why, the what and the how and the doing of it comes after that. So I love that that's part of the way you help people get there too. The other thing about, habits are things that we do, we've automated, but rituals are really things that have special meaning to them. And so if we can give our habit a ritual too, it really can help us be more consistent. So I was actually reading an article about rituals last night, and one of the things they were saying is like, if you're working on a new habit, like going to the gym, doing your resistance training, mark that in some way. Every time you complete those reps, every time you get back from the gym, the analogy they had was, if you have a jar and every time you come back from the gym, you put a stone in it, like that gives physical weight and presence to the progress that you're making, right? Because at first it's just a couple little stones in the bottom of the jar, but like in a month you turn around, the jar's half full, right? And it's that little extra special part of like, wow, I just really did a good job putting the stone in the jar. That's the ritual, right? It's marking your progress. It's really making it a special and important part of your life. And it can be something as simple as that, or it can be like listening to your favorite song on the way to the gym so that you're really pepped up and ready to go, or calling a friend while you're walking, right? You get to build in these pleasing activities and um, really help you to stay motivated and stay on track with the habit. And then there's the celebration piece and the tracking piece, right? Because this is a term from business that maybe many of you know that what gets measured gets managed. So when we're bringing the awareness to this new habit that we've really set as an intention and how are we going to get there, when you're tracking it, right? When you have a visual reminder like the stones in the jar, I encourage a lot of people, print out a monthly calendar. If your goal is to get to the gym Tuesday, Thursday, highlight Tuesdays and Thursdays, right? Keep it in front of you so that you can get off the autopilot and see like, oh yeah, I've got to shoot, I didn't do Tuesday. Okay, well, I got to add another day somewhere. And then it's really filling that in, whether it's a big heart for yourself or a gold star or a big check mark so that you can see your progress. And then your brain says, "Oh yeah, well, she is a healthy person and makes healthy choices. Look at this. Like we've checked all the boxes." So it doesn't have to be that, right? It can be whatever works for you, but really bringing, it's setting the intention. It's having your why and your reasons for motivation, and then really tracking your progress, giving yourself some celebration time, like the song you love, or maybe it's at the end of the week when you've hit all your goals, you get to do something fun, right? Okay, now I get to have my Netflix time, So um, those are really the tools and the keys things that we can build in to create these sustaining habits and routines. Really, you want it to become your lifestyle,
Yeah.
right? So we know that that takes consistency and time.
And we want it to be fun. It's
Yeah.
really important that our life is full of joy. And yes, as high achieving people, high performers, we do have the stress, if we want to call it that, of just challenging ourselves really constantly, wanting to be 1% better every day, wanting to get better, really that internal drive, that competitive greatness to be competitively great for ourselves. And find the joy on the journey, really be able to own these rituals and routines. When you decide you want something new, Make it fun, make it a game. I mean, can you imagine an athlete not looking at the scoreboard? That wouldn't be fun at all. I mean, can you imagine an athlete just showing up and being like, "I'm gonna do this for the rest of my life. I'm never gonna keep track. I don't know what the score is. I'm not gonna celebrate." We know the team in sports, the team with the most team touches wins championships. We want you to be able to win your championship. And so what does that require? Number one, the power of team, whether it's your family, your friends, sharing your desired outcomes, telling them your rituals, your routines, incorporating them into your celebrations. Call them on a joy break, celebrate, be like, I just went to the gym. Get a partner, a teammate that you say, hey, you know what? It's tough for me to get started on this. Can I call you every Tuesday on my way to my gym? Can I text you that I finished it and us just do a little victory dance? Whatever it is, embrace the joy of the journey, have fun with this. Notice from a gut health perspective. When you're happy, your gut's happy. So let's talk about, Dr. Hunter, how do we get our gut happy with these rituals and routines?
Well, it's like anything, our body exists on this daily schedule. Our gut is on a daily schedule too. So the food we put in is going to affect it, our movement throughout the day, our sleep, it all comes back to it. And when we're really engaging in activities and habits and rituals that help us find joy, we're being happier and healthier. We that impacts our gut too, right? We've talked about the bidirectional. Your brain can impact your gut, and your gut health impacts your brain and your stress and your mood. So if you're being intentional with your movement, if you're being intentional with hydration and healthy food, that's going to elevate your mood actually because you have more of the bacteria in your gut that are making more serotonin or that happy chemical that keeps us going. And I really liked what you said about bringing people in, right? Accountability is a great way, especially if you're starting a new habit, to keep going. And it also can really, as you're getting good at these habits, right, you may be noticing some changes. Maybe you're kind of transforming towards whatever your goal is. A great way to keep going through that kind of initial phase is to become a mentor or a role model for someone else, right? So, when we were talking about build it into your work schedule, right? Put those Outlook reminders on. Well, people are going to be like, "Well, what are you doing when I can't schedule a meeting with you?" Well, I'm taking my joy break. I'm focusing on my mental health, on my physical well-being. I'm taking a walk. Start inviting your teammates, right? Doesn't just have to be you walking. Everybody in the building probably could deserve a break and a walk
Yeah.
at 3 p.m. Same with creating healthier habits if you're going on a vacation, right? Who else can do it with you? Um, if you've found a great way to improve your sleep, share the wealth. So
Mhm.
that's a really good way. Like, there's kind of when we think about the phases of change, there's the planning, there's the early doing, and then there's the maintenance. So really becoming kind of a good teammate for everyone else is going to help keep you motivated too.
Okay, team, it's up to you. You get to be empowered to go out and win your well being. We are on your support team. It has been a joy to be on the journey with you to really get educated in gut health, to set up rituals and routines, to get some new thinking, really, what goes in and what happens to my gut really affects my whole body. New skills, practice, practice, practice. What can I eat? How does it make me feel? Statting things up and new hope. Do I have the hope to really be able to sustain this? And the power of team. Add people to your team that are for your health, that are for you winning your well being, that constantly, day by day, choice by choice, they're for you. And number one, be for you. Say to yourself in that self talk, I am for me. I am making healthy choices. I am a healthy person. I love being able to feel great, to make great choices. The more you enjoy this, the more you're creating a life of joy. Thank you, Dr. Hunter, for being on our journey. It's been a total 10.
Thank you so much.